listening to the DOL Pod, brought to you by the Office of Digital and Online Learning at Howard University.
Greetings, listeners. Welcome to the DOL Pod. This episode is being recorded for our National Distance Learning Week events at Howard University. I am happy to be your host for this pod today. I am Dr. Morris Thomas, and I serve as the Assistant Provost for Digital and Online Learning, as well as the Director of our Center for Excellence in Teaching, Learning, and Assessment, which we call CETLA. I also have faculty appointments in the School of Education and School of Business. I'm the Associate Professor of Educational Policy and Leadership Studies, and also teach project management for our MBA students. Today, I'm very happy to have joining me Dr. Alex Kumi-Yeboah. I'm just going to call him probably Dr. Alex for the remainder of our time together today. He is an associate professor in the Department of Educational Theory and Practice in the School of Education at the University of Albany, SUNY, or the State University of New York. And very happy to have him here. He's doing research and some great work around online learning. And our theme that we have for National Distance Learning Week here at Howard University is the intersection of AI and online learning. And most readily, we are discussing generative AI in this context. And so without any delay, I want Dr. Alex to tell us more about himself, more about his role, his work, and his research, and just his kind of path. We want to just get to know you, Dr. Alex, a little bit more before we get into our actual conversation and questions about AI and online learning. So, Dr. Alex, welcome to Howard University, DOL Pod, and tell us more about yourself, sir.
Greetings to everyone. My name is Alex Kumi-Yeboah. Originally from West Africa, Ghana, educated to the university level over there in Ghana, and then moved to the United States the year 2000, specifically Florida. So I've been an elementary school teacher, middle school teacher, high school, college, and then now at the university level. So I did the rest of my education at the University of South Florida, Tampa. And I taught 2 years at Dalton State College in Georgia, close to, North Georgia, close to Chattanooga area. And then I moved to University at Albany here, 2014. So I've been here 10 years. I'm an associate professor at the Department of Educational Theory and Practice, School of Education here. My research for the past 8 years, has been focused on online learning. I look at some of the strategies to promote diverse learners. Who is a diverse learner in the online environment? Just the way we promote diversity or using diverse resources to teach in a face-to-face. Can we do the same in online learning? And then lately, I've been looking at online learning in general, leadership. How can leadership promote online learning to be a strategic change agent in higher education, especially after the pandemic? So that's what I've been doing. And then I think I wrote a paper we did a research and wrote a paper about privacy, AI and privacy ethics, and British Journal of Educational Technology, and it's been one of the most cited papers right now for the past 2 years, about privacy, student privacy and AI and stuff like that.
Wow, that's awesome. What a vast background. And I didn't realize that we had something in common. I actually have 2 certifications from the University of South Florida.
Okay.
From the School of Business there. So, so that's great. And we also have in common teaching at all levels, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
I don't like the all level, but basically all the traditional levels of education, which really gives you a different lens and to understand. And I also know that having that, what I would say, classic or traditional training background, you understand many of the psychosocial aspects of learning, the big major for learning theories, cognitivism, constructivism, connectivism, and behaviorism. So you have all of that into play because many of our faculty colleagues become subject matter experts and don't have all of that learning science in their toolkit. And so it's really important for podcasts like these and conversations like these to inform them so they can take this and couple it with their subject matter expertise to inform how they facilitate learning. So this is great to have you here. All the way from Ghana, and you've been here quite a bit now. So you have been here for a long time. So
I spent all my adult years in the United States. And funny, in the late 70s and early 80s, a lot of Ghanaian teachers moved to Nigeria because there was an oil boom. So money. So I also spent part of my childhood in Nigeria and South Africa. So my life has always been outside Ghana most of the time. Yeah.
Well, that's good because you have definitely this big world view and perspective that you can share. And the great thing about this, it really couples with online learning because online learning makes the world smaller and it is very ubiquitous. So, just such a good person to be sharing. I'm really curious and I hope you'll talk more about your research, specifically the heavily cited research on the privacy and things of that nature, because that's something that people have a lot of questions about. So I'm very happy that you're doing that. So I want to get right into the conversation with a few questions, and we're going to have a conversation. So we may not just get to all of the questions, but we can just talk, and I just want to glean from your knowledge. So one question that's asked a lot in this space is how has the integration of digital technologies or digital learning tools transformed or impacted the landscape of online learning?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, this morning it was just reported that the two researchers who started AI, machine learning, was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. So, they started the machine learning, artificial, trying to mimic, the mind, and machine. And that led to this, I think the name is Hilton, I think University of Toronto. And then, the Hopfield is Hopfield is the professor at Princeton, and then Hilton is the scientist at the University of Toronto. So so I just want listeners to know that these are the people who started this AI thing. Before then, there was the psychologists who have started, trying to have machine we can. So for digitalization in online learning has been a game changer. First, it has take ChatGPT out. Before ChatGPT, digitalization has actually promoted personalized learning. I call it adaptive learning in the online or distance ed program where they have tools, digital tools. For example, like they have one called a Fathom, where you can enhance transcription very well. They have other tools like Cloud that makes note taking very seriously, and then just the other tools for like recording. Synchronous class, you can record and then you can listen to it. Recording of videos as well. So back to the question. First, it has actually aided discussions, online discussion and feedback. So it has really promoted the community of interaction, the community of inquiry. It's not just like I'm going to be there and then I won't learn anything. Kind of promoted a lot of resources. You can actually be online listening and then at the same time, looking at so many resources online to help the student. The interactive learning environment. For example, AI-driven platforms, in some way, many ways, have created or create highly interactive and engaging learning experience for students. And it goes beyond the traditional teaching and learning in the classroom. In this space, in this time, I would say in the learning space, online learning space. For example, we now have virtual labs for science and experiment. I think University of Arizona is using that. Simulations for real world scenarios, which are started even in the K-12 classroom, where teachers can show, Civil War, this, that, for students to really see. And then the higher ed, STEM fields can do that. Gamification, and, learning environment also make education fun and captivating. The advantage or prospect for students. I'll end and say that digitalization also has helped to harness or enhance AI for student success. I mean, if you know how to use ChatGPT and other tools very well, you cannot be accused of plagiarizing. You have to first know how to use it, to generate your ideas, and then you can move on from there. Second one is it has made learning very easy for for us in society. I'm just speaking from the bottom, even from Africa, West Africa, had it not been this digitalized world, where would those who don't have, I'm talking about digital equity, where would those who have even less percentage of, internet and access to technology, where would they have been? Even though it's a big challenge, it has really promoted access to a lot of resources. Yeah.
Wow. You said a lot of things that has me thinking, and I like how you started framing this, and you weren't prompted. I can let everyone know you weren't prompted. These are your responses, but you really talked about AI from a benefit lens, a growth perspective. It wasn't this anxiety or this negative side. And you also really framed this in the actuality that, one, this isn't new and it's beyond just large language models and the generative AI, like you mentioned, ChatGPT, but there are really these different digital learning tools that have artificial intelligence built in that, if leveraged properly, really does benefit the learners or the students and really expands the access, the capabilities. You talked about assistive technology when it comes to speech to text, and text to voice, to come back to the students, and all these resources. So I really do appreciate the benefits that you raised and how leveraging them appropriately benefits everyone, the faculty, the instructors, as well as the learners, and leads to student success. You also talked about how it can deal with equity and bridge the divide and all those things like that. So my question from this, from you being a researcher who's been researching this and following it in depth for almost a decade, there still seems to be a divide, a resistance from many of our more so faculty colleagues. I don't think that I found a lot of learners or a lot of evidence, and correct me if you found something different in the research, or resistance from learners. I think learners have tried to engage it, maybe not correctly engage it, but they tried to engage it. But a lot of our academics and our colleagues have had a level of resistance. How do you think we can address the resistance factor and bridge the divide of those faculty who are adopters, users, to those who are resistant and skeptics?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Very, very important question. The I think first of all, it's just like the online teaching online. My personal experience is first, there must be this kind of persuasive education, professional development course, for it could be even online. It could even be what we are just discussing here. Faculty can just listen a shared email, and then they just listen, this podcast about AI and how it can promote online, and stuff like that. I think education is number one. Professional development education workshop. These days it could be, just online, and then they will take it. I think that is the number one. Number two is any new thing, you're going to have some challenges in the academic community. You're dealing with very smart. It doesn't mean the others are not smart, but you're dealing with people who are researching, reading. So they're going to question the integrity and, what
Yeah.
have you of all that. And so I think it will take time. Even though we do not encourage Wikipedia and Google in our academic, dispensation, for research, but everybody knows we go to Wikipedia and we go to Google to look for stuff. So I think
There's Google
eventually,
Scholar,
yes.
where all of our articles are held in Google Scholar. So I think,
Yes. We now have, do you have Google Scholar? But I remember in the early 2000s, everybody was against that, this is going to, So I think with time, once we have measures to check on the ethics and, what to use, procedures and policies on it, the tension will reduce. I read an article that I've forgotten the title that says that we need not to critique AI too much, but we have to embrace it and then learn how to use it.
Absolutely.
There's that option of a very important option of, do I know how to use all these AI tools? Once you get an average grade on how to use it, then it becomes very useful. So first, professional development. Second, policies, procedures and guidelines in the syllabi, in the syllables, how to use it. And then the faculty, staff, students also understanding how to use the AI tools. Because more tools are going to be coming. We live in a very super world, innovative world. So people are going to develop AI apps and stuff like that. So,
Absolutely. No, thank you for that. I think that you laid out some very practical steps for us as educators, to engage in professional development and work collaboratively to look at policies, procedures, and guidelines for best practices, and then to get right into it and try to try out some of these, tools and things of that nature. So in light of that, another thing within education at all levels, but particularly we're talking about higher education, the learner population has changed and it continues to evolve as much as also the technologies evolve. So can you talk about with the different type of learners that are present today and some of the information and trends about our learner population, how can what are some potential ways that AI can be used to enhance the educational experience for a diverse learner, specifically in the online environment?
Very, very important question. Initially, I think 2014, 2015, I came out with some 2 articles, critiquing how online learning doesn't, the instructional delivery doesn't actually meet the needs and expectation of all learners. When you interview diverse learners, they will say, they say that the online discussion is, everybody, online learning discussion, everybody make contribution. However, when I put my contributions there or my post, because the alignment of my ideas is not what the mainstream, like European culture, I get very few feedback, posts. Sometimes I don't even understand some of the content, the example, because it doesn't relate to my culture. So I came out with recommendations on how to promote, doing cultural activities in the beginning of the class and stuff like that. And then boom, the AI just came, where you can get information, about different cultures. But it's still a problem because you use the first chat GPT as a chat GPT. Give me great philosophers from Africa and Asia. Then you still get philosophers from Canada and United States. The names are still not there. Yeah, so that has still been the challenge. But I think in the short run, access to information, that's what I'll put it there. Access to information has been great. I think Blackboard now have an ultra Blackboard where they have, I've forgotten the name, but they have some features, AI features, not as advanced as the AI outside, but they have some generative AI tools that students and faculty can use for information, and that I think is it's a first direction that is really first step that is really good for diverse learners. I would say it's still a huge problem in terms of faculty using diverse resources. A physics professor just argued with me yesterday and said, "Oh, I teach physics. How am I going to promote diversity in online, environment?" I said, "No. When we say that, we are not saying go and teach Martin Luther King. That's not what we're saying. You're going to have students coming from different backgrounds, so your examples and your resources, must be diverse resources.
Absolutely.
If you're teaching foundations of physics, there are a lot of African Americans or blacks who have excelled in physics. You have to let a student read about that. That's what we're talking about. We are not saying teach about other civil rights. That's not what. But there's that misconception. People think when you say diverse learners or teach diverse, they meet the needs of diverse. They think you said, "Oh, let me go and teach about civil rights." The struggle. No, promote diversity through the resources that we use. Even group leadership. Let the minority students also assume some of the group leadership in the online discussion that you are, that kind of motivation. So I made a recommendation. I've forgotten some of them, but these are some of strategies that you can use. These days, AI, the Ultra Blackboard, I think they even have it on Canvas too, where you can use it to promote students with disabilities. So they can, I can hear properly. So, then I can visually, I can't even see, but there's AI tool that can, help that students to read all the textbook, everything, give examples, so to meet the needs of all the learning styles of, the student, we have a long way to go, but I think the tools there can help. There's a lot of the names in the cohort. There's a lot of AI tools that are time wouldn't permit, but I call it adaptive learning tools. AI that we can use for better strategies to meet the needs of these online students who are diverse anyway.
Yeah. Right. I love that you talked about that. It made me think of two things. The first is universal design for learning, which has three principles to be implemented or applied, and that's the principle of providing multiple ways of representation. So you talked about representing the work in different ways, multiple ways for engagement, multiple ways for expression. And so you were saying these tools would allow for providing different ways to represent the materials and having representation that actually goes across the learners to meet them, different ways for them to engage in the learning experience, and different ways for them to express themselves or different ways to express the content. So what you're saying is right in alignment with universal design for learning principles. And the other aspect that you made me think about when you talked about the examples you used was you talked about what AI provides, but also the collaboration between the AI and the faculty member or the AI and the learner, which brings me to this other question about the kind of fear or anxiety about AI being a replacer or reducing, but basically you just talked about how these work together. We as the human element can work with AI to do things more rapidly, more efficiently. So thanks for bringing that up. Did you want to say anything about that before I ask my next question? Ask my next question.
Oh no, I think I'm good. I don't want to take
Okay.
all the time.
No, you're fine. So my next question would then, being that we talked about diversity and things of that nature, we know that there's been information about AI when it comes to biases and things of that nature. So how can AI help to address bias, or how can we address sometimes the bias that might be there when it comes to AI? I don't know if any of your work or research has talked about that.
Yeah, the last time I interviewed, I think 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the students, majority of them, had expressed the lack of education when it comes to biases, about the use of AI. They prefer that kind of like orientation online, for them. They like you get admission to grad school, you get an email, go to a site, and you read about, like the guidelines. It might not be policy, but the guidelines and policies about AI and how the biases, the things we can do to create the biases and stuff like that. That will really help. And then they also express about the access to information on that. Some of them express that you have to read it on your own. They said that the school has it. The school has a policy or guidelines on that, but then you have to go read it. Nobody will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And they also said that what is the word for it? The bureaucracy, when you report that, hey, I lost my this and this because of the bias and this, it takes a long time for the school, the administration to deal with it. So this was, and they think maybe the ITS, Instructional Technology Office, Services, the office, or, whatever, every school has a different name.
Right.
That office, must be more proactive when it comes to biases and on AI use and stuff like that. So this was, from the students' side. And then the faculty, where the faculty agree with students was like, we think we need education. I've heard about it. It's on the website when you go to the instructional technology, blah, blah, or the chief information officer side. Those things are there. It's not like the school is not aware of that. It's there. You could have a huge penalty on this and that. However, I'm not aware of how to do it. So I think awareness is a huge thing. But these days, universities are so concerned about enrollment that not much attention has been given to all this little thing. But it's very, very, very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, those are definitely great points and well taken. I love how you highlighted the student's voice. I think that's one thing that I hear a lot of questions or concerns, but being that we are in the work of educating students and learners, I think we have to pay a lot more attention to their needs and their perspectives. It does not say that we won't make decisions from a number of aspects. We have our accreditation and regulatory aspects and compliance issues and a number of things that we have to consider. But I think a huge consideration is the student's voice. So thanks for raising their voice in this. So my last question that I would ask is, if you could hypothesize or predict and kind of look down the line, based on your own thoughts, your own research, your own empirical experiences, what would you say would be the long-term implications or the future of AI, in particular as it pertains to online learning?
Yeah, very good question. I'm very glad you asked this. I am going to share what I interviewed from June up to September, or early part of up to September. I've interviewed 150.
Wow.
Yes, 150. Yeah, 150 online leaders and university president, deans, leadership provosts, but mostly online chief online officers. And this is what some of them said about AI. Number one, it is here to stay. And then it is here to stay. We need to know how to use it properly. There must be this massive education awareness for both students, staff, faculty, and then to the larger society. The larger society is actually using it so much. iPhone, Android phone, this AI, a lot of apps, they are using it. It's a revolution. So we have to move with it. Other than that, it's just like when internet started coming. If you resisted internet, you're going to be in trouble. Yeah, so
Right.
it is here to stay. It is going to revolutionize our education, especially online learning. There's going to be a lot of the online learning platforms are going to use AI to enhance, an effective teaching and learning for both teachers and then faculty. So there's especially online learning. It's a big revolution. For example, University of Arizona, Arizona State, and other universities, I think University of Florida, have started using AI for global, and then Maryland Global, Purdue Global have started infusing AI features to promote their online education global. They call it online Purdue Global. So you could be in Thailand, and then you go to Blackboard and Ultra Blackboard, they have all these the AI features or AI tools. Once it's going to record it, you don't have to log in for everything to record it for you. Once you log in, it's passed. The lecture was there, but everything is recorded, and then you can get transcript. It's just a button click, transcribe everything. You have transcribed speech, and then you have it. So that's how AI is going to lead us. Number two, there's going to be some, I said domestic challenges with the use of AI is going to create a lot of challenges for us, especially the question about biases, ethics, and, I said imbalance resource in terms of, it's more going to be more, what we have now is the coding of it is more rich resources, more European. What about other, part of the world, the information that you want to get, the AI? And I think with time, there's going to be, it will keep balancing. There's digital equity everywhere. Where the pandemic, I actually experienced my first digital inequity, equity in during the pandemic, where some schools in Albany area here, the kids couldn't get laptop at home, where other kids already had laptops at home. So once the school said online virtual, they didn't have any problem. But the other schools, Albany High, had to find computers all of a sudden and distribute it for. But then it was like over 1 month. So this was where I experienced it. I think with all the challenges of AI, it is actually going to it's going to close the gap. Because you have one tool on your phone or on your computer, you can access information very quickly. So number three is I call it very funny. We don't know where AI is actually going to lead us to.
Okay.
It's like it's taking us on a road where we don't know where it is going to end. I'm making a prediction that there's going to be another advanced form of AI, that will make learning so easy, that is going to pose a big challenge for us faculty administrators like you, and said, we still need residential campus, and we want students to come, but these students are just using this AI app on their computers and taking classes, so it's going to make education so accessible for us. So that's what I see the AI to be. There are more, but for now, that is what I would say. It's here to stay. It's going to revolutionize teaching and learning. It's going to close gaps in equity. It's going to pose a huge challenge for us. And then it's also leading us to a place where we don't know where it's going to lead us. Unless we stop it, by Congress passing a law or something like that. Other than that, the innovation is so massive. Yeah.
No,
And
that's
it's not
great.
just United States. You go to Ghana, you have university students, coming out with apps that is designed for only Ghanaians to use, Nigerians to use. For example, people live in the United States here and they switch their lights on in Ghana and Nigeria by apps that were developed by university students in those countries.
Wow.
Yes.
No, I think you make some great predictions, and I think I would agree and definitely pay attention to those as well. I even agree with you on, I do think that there will be some elements of legislature once there's more understanding. But even with that, when it changes so quickly, I think that that's even going to be challenging to legislate something that changes so rapidly.
Yeah.
But no, those are great. I think that those are things a great way to close and for us to be thinking about this. I think that that's one of the biggest things that we want to do is constantly be thinking about this, especially in the academic space and researching. So thank you for the work you're doing. I think that I can't wait till your study is done and published. Let's say, I think you might be done with the data collection, but till it's published.
Yeah. No, I'll be done this week, and then I have the last one this week, and then I'm done. 51, 151.
Wow, so that'd be great. There's going to be a lot of great data that you'll gather from speaking to all of those. So thank you for the work you're doing on this. Thank you for being with us here at Howard University. Dr. Kumi-Yeboah, it's been a pleasure to have you with us. And I'm sure we'll be seeing one another out in the field and talking about this important work. So thank you again for being with us. And that will bring us to a close of this DOL pod, concentrating on the intersections of AI and online learning. Thank you all so much, listeners, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.